Hello, everybody. Welcome to Weekend Update. Starting with Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin is topping out. 1 hour chart. You can see this is Bitcoin futures, CME futures. There's a gap here. This gap is around 44,785. So it's quite possible Christmas, when we are back from Christmas, we will try to fill this gap to the upside. We're not that far, okay? So where we are right now to this gap, we are around 2.3% away. So maybe it will fill this gap, and then January, February, it will come down. All these green lines are the gaps to the fill to the downside. So it will fill up, then come down. Ethereum, same thing, looking for a little bit higher, then come down. And Bitcoin Live Futures. This is live market right now. You can, if I zoom out, you can see we are near major resistance. And what Bitcoin is doing, it's making lower high, lower lows. All right. So if I draw an arrow here, you can see here price going higher high, but RSI going lower high. Same thing with PPO. PPO also going lower highs. All right, so price going higher with lower momentum. These are momentum indicators, so we got to be careful. Now we broke out on this from this range. You can see this range around 30,731K. We broke out, we never came back to back test it. So are we going to come back to test all the way down? Then we bounce. That will be ideal scenario. Even if we come all the way down to 30K, 31K, that's still going to be lower high before we go. So I mean higher high, higher low, sorry, higher low. These lows are higher than previous low, higher low before we go higher. All right. Ethereum, same thing here. Came to the support area, could go a little bit lower, but will do whatever Bitcoin does. But again, it's near massive resistance, so looking for lower high, then blast later on. VIX, let's go to traditional market. VIX is down 5%, 4.55%, but it's just consolidating. You can see it was going higher, higher RSI with lower price in the weeks. So higher momentum on PPO and RSI while price was going lower. So VIX is ready to bounce, and that's going to be bearish for S&P 500 and triple Q. So S&P 500 here, what I'm expecting this to top out very soon, get a pullback. Now I don't know if you're going to go all the way down, but looking for a pullback into mid-January, early February, and then a bounce again. All right. So that's what I'm expecting. Same thing with triple Qs, looking for a pullback into. So this should top out very soon. Maybe next week it will stop out. Looking for a pullback into late January, February, then a bounce. All right. And DIA, Dow Jones, same thing. Looking for this to top out, then lower, higher low, and then go higher. IWM, same thing. Gap up today on Friday. This green line is a gap 199.88. Most likely it will fill that gap on Tuesday when the market opens. Possibly it can even go lower to fill this other gap around 193 and then bounce. All right, so that's what I'm expecting on IWM. Crude oil looking good, just back testing, flagging, and looking for it to. This is a support now, okay? It broke out. Now it's back tested and it became support. So let's make it green. Oil miners are something which I'm bullish on early next year, but for now, looking like it's getting ready for a pump. And it's finding some resistance here, but it's now between resistance and support. We're looking for it to go into 80s in a couple of weeks. Gold, everything is looking good so far. Higher highs, higher lows. You can see high, higher low, higher high, higher low, again going higher. But it could fail, all right? So I think the ideal scenario for gold would be from here, make a top and then come back and then go higher, all right? So something like this would be ideal. Silver looking good near support, so a little bit downwards pressure on Friday, but in the support and getting ready for to bounce. It's gonna do mostly whatever gold does. Natural gas in a support area, but looking for this to fail into January, February, make a lower high on the price and then momentum going higher. That's what I'm looking for, divergences, and then we're gonna trade natural gas. For now, we're gonna let it go. I want to see some more weakness on natural gas. Dollar in the support area. This is bad news for Bitcoin and stock market. It's right in the support. So if dollar bounces, Bitcoin and gold will go down and stock will go down. So be careful here. Toronto Stock Exchange, same thing, looking for this to top out very soon, come back, fill. I don't think it's going to come all the way down, then higher low and then bounce. Hang Seng Index China was up So you can see broke downtrend. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see China was going higher on price going lower. Higher RSI, higher PPO, broke out, back test, and now going higher. There's a gap here on 16170, so that's the only thing. If we come back all the way down to fill this gap, that will be a good area to buy. Bond market just flagging here. So that's good, it's flagging, but you can see very overbought short term. RSI light green background. PPO also green line is about to cross red line, so just be careful looking for a pullback here on bond into the cycle low here around January and then go higher again. All right. Copper buy the dip, nothing changed. So just look to buy all the dips on copper from here. Palladium also consolidating near support, so look to buy the dip. Soybeans in the support area, wheat in the support area, corn holding nicely, still divergence. You can see RSI have higher high. You can see here nothing changed. Price was making lower high, but RSI is making higher high, so it's divergent. PPO is also making higher high. So these are good levels for corn to accumulate. Sugar down and up, but it's in near buy zone. Looking for this to pump and then fail, make a new low. Then when that happens, I want to see divergence on RSI and PPO. That will be the trigger for me to be alert. Tesla was down 0.77%, nothing changed. Broke out of this downward trend. This is daily chart, back tested, and now just holding here. So everything is good. There's a gap here on 291, but there are multiple gaps down as well. So right now, kind of in the middle, I might think it will fill these two gaps at some point. I'm looking to buy only at gap fill of 224, nothing before that. Apple near resistance. You can see in resistance with divergence on RSI and PPO failing. All these green dotted lights are the gaps to fill, so maybe it will come down to fill this gap. Netflix also near resistance. If I extend this line, so you can see back tested now. Couple of gaps to fill to the downside. I'm not bullish on tech stock because they went up so much, so I'm only looking at oil miners and maybe financials. Microsoft holding, but there are a couple of green lines gaps to fill to the downside. Google, couple of gaps to the downside near resistance, new high, but you can see again divergence. You can see divergence across the board. Okay, so be careful on tech stock. Meta, same thing. It filled the gap. There was a gap around 357, filled it. Now next gap is around 362, so it could go up, fill that gap before it can go down. So that's quite possible, like this. All right. So short term, it could be a little bit more bullish. Amazon, uh, again, no divergence. You can see here, if I draw a chart like this, divergence on RSI, right? Same thing on Amazon, snowflakes down, flat kind of flagging. But just remember all these gaps are downside. Nvidia, flat, 0.33% down, but not looking good. This could be higher low before it's going to go down. There's a gap here around 500, so maybe it can go up, fill this gap, and then come down, or it can come down all the way to fill this gap around 423, then go up. We'll see. Uh, AMD also, there's a gap around 136. That's the next target now. Newmont Mine, there was a gap to the top here. This gap, this is filled. Now it's coming down to fill this other gap around 41.52. GDX also could not fill this gap. There was a gap here, a little bit of gap around 32.23. It filled it. Now it's coming down. Most likely it's going to fill this gap on Tuesday. And sector-wise, XLK and tech sector looking bullish, but there's divergence on PPO. You can see here. Just a bit careful. Look to buy the dip. It's going to do mostly what I think S&P 500 will do. That's what I'm expecting. Energy sector gap up. Is this gap filled? No, so probably it's going to fill that gap on Tuesday, then going to blast for this next gap around 90.18. Healthcare sector gap up. 134 is the gap. Holding this trend line nicely. We broke down, then again it recovered this trend line. So everything's looking good on healthcare so far. Utility is also down a little bit down. Uh, all these green lines are the gaps to fill. Broke this trend line. So not too bullish on utilities. It will maybe go down, fill some of these other gaps. Industrial, again gap up, new high with divergence, huge divergence on RSI. So looking for a dip. Real estate sector, Looking all right, just kind of 0.4% there. Just remember there's a gap here around 41.63, then there's another gap here around 36.7. So I will be only looking to buy at the gap fill or bottom gaps, not at the top gaps. Financials flagging. Like so all these green lines are the gaps to fill. So be very careful here. KRE, there's a gap around 51.38. Maybe it's going to fill that first before going higher. Uh, that's it for quick update today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and let's see if there's any questions or anything. No. So I wish you great Christmas holiday and have safe holidays. I'll see you maybe on Monday night. Let's see. All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.